Hey everybody, welcome back. It is finally time to make the first pot for wood firing number 2. Let's go. Alright, here we are, going to make pot number 1 for wood firing number 2. And I thought for quite a while about what I was going to make for this first pot for wood firing number 2. And I figured it out this morning. One of the very first shapes that I wanted to learn how to make when I got into pottery was a Rebecca pitcher. And if you don't know what a Rebecca pitcher is, I'll put a picture of one on the screen so you can see. The first shop that I ever started working for in Seagrove as well was one of the very traditional original families that started making pottery in Seagrove, the Cole family, and that family is very well known for Rebecca pitchers and multiple different styles of Rebecca pitchers that different parts of that family have made. But one of the reasons I love that shape, it was very elegant shape, and it was very difficult to make because it comes in at the bottom, has a belly in the middle, and then comes back in again, and then has a spout and a tall handle that goes up above the top of the pot. And so there's multiple things about this piece that make it difficult. So in a sense, as a throwback to this piece that I haven't made in a very long time, for myself at least, and I didn't make one for wood fire number 1, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make one, at least one for wood fire number 2, and it's going to be the first pot. The other thing is, when I first started making some larger pieces, say in the 12-pound range, for whatever reason, the way I learned or taught myself how to make some larger pieces was to stack thrown pieces, as you guys have seen before. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a throwback at that, because the very first way that I started to make pieces made in sections was to do a 12-pound pot, and was to do it with a 6-pound clay ball, a 4-pound clay ball, and a 2-pound clay ball. So I'm going to take these 3 clay balls today, and I'm going to make a Rebecca pitcher for wood fire number 2 as the very first pot. And yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is actually take the 6-pound clay ball, and I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to center it in 2 different pieces. Not that I have to, but just to make it a little bit easier, because that's exactly the way that I used to do this, just to make it easier to center. Usually I would make 2 3-pound clay balls, a 4 and a 2, and I just went ahead and cut a 6, and then we'll cut this in half, because I don't necessarily have to cut this into 2 even 3s. If I've got a 6-pound clay ball, I'll just cut it in half wherever I want. And then center that, take that off the wheel, throw the 4-pound clay ball to match the size of the 6 as far as the opening, put those 2 together, and then throw the 2 the exact same way I did that, just to match the size of the 6 and 4 together. And so we'll go through that right now, and yeah, this is going to be fun. So I thought it'd be really cool to, like I said, do a throwback as far as making pots this way. I still stack thrown sections together to make pots. You guys have seen that on my videos. But I haven't done any, probably with the 6, 4, and 2 clay ball size in quite a while. I got to a point where I could kind of do better with just like doing an 8-pound base and then a 4-pound top. So most of my 12s that I've made were that way. And I was going to do that this morning, and I thought, well, if I'm going to do a throwback, I might as well do this as well. But I also thought that this idea might help some of you guys if you're just getting into throwing some larger pieces and you want to throw those pots in sections. That I thought this doing it this way might help some of you guys with the idea of throwing pots this way. So the reason I probably picked 6, 4, and 2 is because I kind of, as a general rule, when I started making pots this way, I always thought that I'm going to make the whatever my base is. Say if it was 6 pounds, I would do around half, maybe a little more of the weight that's in that piece in the next section. And then when I did the 4, so I did half and I did 2. So I also started, when I was making larger pieces, I started out doing 20 pounders, and I would do a 10, a 6, and a 4. So that gave me 20 pounds, and I went down in each section as I went up. That allowed me to do that, and I didn't have to torch or dry the piece that on the bottom in order to put the next section on. So it was just a way for me to do that and not have to torch or dry the piece. You guys have seen recently or last year where I did some larger pieces, those 50 and 60 pounders where I did torch it and dry those. But that's just a different method and something new that I'm working on. So this is the 6 pounds. I'm gonna center and open and throw this and take it off the wheel, and then throw the 4 and put that on top. So I will, when I throw this 6, it's not going to be as thin as it would be if I was just throwing a single pot out of 6 pounds, because that's the other thing that I realized. I knew that if I was going to throw pots in sections, I would have to make them a little bit thicker. They still don't have to be heavy, but you definitely have to make them a little bit thicker, and maybe use some stiffer clay just to help with the whole just physics of clay needing to hold itself up. So I'm going to open this, and then like I said, I'm going to pull this and start the shape of the Rebecca, the bottom part that kind of goes in like this and starts to come out, and that's pretty much where I'll probably stop with the shaping. And then when I put the 4 pound section on, I will continue that shape and then throw the 2 and finish it off. So like I said, I'm going to throw this, but I'm really going to be very mindful about leaving extra clay throughout the whole piece and try to make it really even. If you pull this too thin and then try to add that 4 pound clay ball on top, you just collapse the base here, and then you got to start all over. So, and it's really beneficial with this if you can leave the rim a bit thicker as well. You really want the whole thing to be thicker, and you really want to match the thickness of whatever this ends up being on top with the 4 pound piece that you put on top, and the same with the 2. That way that seam is where you join the 2 together. The only time I've seen, or the challenges that I've had, I've never had a seam come apart. The only challenges I've had with these seams is when I don't make them the same thickness. Then when it dries, you can actually see a little bump where that seam is, and that's something that I tried to remedy over time, is get rid of that seam by just throwing them the same thickness. And still something I'm working on those really big ones, because torching those makes that a whole new challenge. But alright, so that's probably going to be my last pull right there. But see, what I've been able to do is get that shape of the bottom, and that's not the finished shape, but I've got that kind of inward shape at the bottom, without all that extra weight up top. It's helping me get that shape before I add all that extra weight on top. And the good thing too is I don't have to make this too wide right here, because when I add the 4-pound section on, you'll be able to see that I can actually make that wider, because the only thing I'll do once I put that 4-pound section on is basically shape the two pieces together. And I'm going to make that completely flat right there. I've had a lot of questions in the past about, do I do like a groove here and a V on the top piece and put that in the groove. I've never done that, and I don't feel that it's necessary, but if that makes you feel better or you're more comfortable about it, then definitely do that. I think it's just, it'd be easier to trap air making a groove here and a V on the next one when that fits down in there. Of course you can fill it with slip and all that, but then you just got potential for more issues that way. All right, so now I'm going to measure this, and we have about 7 3/4 to 7 7/8, somewhere right in that range. Also, I've got a mark on my wheel, and I've said this before as well, but I'm going to mark where I take this off because the pot is centered with the wheel, and the bat was on the bat pins, but the holes in the bat pins may not be perfectly centered with the bat, if you understand what I'm saying. So that if I put this, so let's just do this as an example. Right now, it's centered. I'm going to take this off the wheel, and I'm actually going to spin the wheel halfway around. I'm going to put the bat back on the other way, and then we're going to check. Okay, now if you can see, there's a slight wobble right now, and that is only due to the fact that these bat pin holes are not centered with that bat, so that if I put this back on that way, I'd have that little bit of wobble to contend with. And so the reason I mark my bat is so that when I take this off and I go to put it back on, we should have it centered on the wheel already and not have to worry about that. All right, I'm going to throw the 4-pound section. The other thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a video about this, or at least part of the video, but when you're pugging clay out of a pug mill, of course that pug came out of the pug mill like this, I would never take that clay ball normally and throw it down this way. Now that's much easier to center because it's already round, but the way pug mills work and blend that clay together, if you throw your clay ball down this way and that's the bottom of your pot, more than likely you'll have S-cracks in the bottom of your pots. I've seen it time and time again. So anytime you see me throw a pot where I've got the pug clay, I always take that clay, and I may round that side, but I'm going to throw that clay ball down this way. Now this piece is going to be in the middle of a pot, and it's not going to have a bottom in it, so I don't mind throwing it down this way. Even the second piece that I put on those two halves that I threw that out of, I threw the second one down this way as well. You probably noticed that. And that's because you don't have to worry about those S-cracks when you do that. It's just the very bottom of the pot that you have to worry about when you're doing that. All right, I'll adjust the camera here so you can get a better view on what I do to open this up and make it. All right, here we go. What I'm gonna do is open this clay ball up. And I have to think about the shape that I'm making, also about how wide I want to open this bottom. Plus, I'm going all the way down to the wheel head. So that's the wheel head right there. I'm just gonna make a cylinder without a bottom. One of the things I really like to do is open up this and get all that clay out from around the bottom. It's going to help with the removal of it later. But I also have to think about when I get done with this 4-pound piece, the bottom that's here is gonna end up being the top, and this part here is gonna end up matching with the 6-pound piece that I made. So you gotta kind of think about your shape and how wide you wanna make that. I know how wide this part here needs to be because it needs to be that 7 3/4 to 7 7/8, but how wide does this need to be to kind of continue the shape? You don't want to make it too small or too big. Mine's going to kind of be just straight up and down. And then I'll shape it once we get it on top of the 6-pound piece. I'm just going to measure to give me an idea of where I am right now. So right now I'm about 6 7/8, so I got an inch to go wider, and that's good. I don't want to go too wide and have to bring it back in. I'm going to go back to the bottom and pull again. Once again, I don't want to pull this one too much, mainly because I'm going to shape it and I want to match the thickness of the bottom piece. So I got about where I want it to be as far as pulled. What I'm going to do is actually go in around the base on the inside and clean off the extra clay that's in there from where I pulled it. That's going to help me. You'll see once I flip this over and cut it off this bat, having the clean bat is really going to help the condition of the top of this once I flip it over. All right, I'm also going to clean off on the outside, just kind of clean off that extra clay down there. All right, now I'm going to look at the top here. So we're at 7 1/4 or so. So I'm just going to bring this out just a little bit, flatten it, look at my width. Got my ruler down in my water bucket. All right, so now this should be about right. Perfect. All right. So now I'm gonna finish cleaning this up. All right. The spot on my wheel that I have marked is right there. So I set that piece up on my water bucket. I put this where I have the marked with clay on this bat pin hole. I put it back on that way. And now this should be running evenly, which it is. All right, I'll back the camera up so you can see me join these. All right, so to do this, you will need a wire of some kind. So I made this piece here, 7 3/4 to 7 7/8, and I made this piece here with the top of it being the same. So now I can take this and flip it over. It's still attached to the bat, so we don't have to worry about it falling. So all I do is take this, flip it upside down, and lower it down on there, and we've got that. Now what I do to cut this free is normally I like to find a clean spot on the bat. Not that that's a big deal, but I like to stay clean. Now I'm gonna put this bat against my chest, and I'm gonna pull the wire towards me and kind of make sure I'm holding it up, pulling it kind of up and towards my chest. Pull that free. Once it releases, then I can take the bat and lift it up. And now you can see the inside of the bat where I cleaned all that. It's really nice. If you had a bunch of junk in here, it would fall down in the pot. All that just can create a mess. So cleaning that up is nice. And then also you can see I've got some extra thickness up here, but it's really nice and clean inside and out, and that helps with the whole process. Now what I'm gonna do is get my tool, and I'm not gonna add any water. So this is really one of the keys that helped me learn to do this, is that after I join sections like this, I don't add any water. So that helps with the fresh clay that's being joined together not soaking up any extra water, so it doesn't get softer and start to collapse. Well, I said that I'm adding water to the rim. All I'm doing is just getting a little bit of water right here on the rim so that I can smooth that out guys are like, he said he's not adding any water, and then he grabs his sponge and adds water. And just to the rim right there. I don't want any water to drip down inside or outside even while I'm doing that, because if I get a drip that goes down the outside or the inside, then I'm not using any water. As soon as I hit that spot where it's water, it's going to be like smooth, it's going to be like gliding, and it's going to be jerking like that with my hand on the inside or even my rib. So I want to like just have it either no water, or you got to have water on the whole thing. So it's like you have to have one or the other. If you have it like a little bit of water and then no water, you're going to have a really hard time throwing like that. So I probably could have left the 6-pound piece a little thicker, based on, I'm seeing just a little bit of weakness there, but I think I'll be fine. I just want to shape this gradually together and really work on that seam too, where I put the two pieces together, and get that a fluid shape. The top is still a little bit thick, which, like I said, because it was the bottom of what I threw. So I'm just going to add some water to the very top again, inside and out, and then I'm just going to pull this a little bit, just to thin that out mainly. Alright, that 2 pounds that I have left should be enough to do the majority of the neck. So I want to get the shape of the bottom and this bulbous part in the middle. I want to get all that done, and then have it go back in like you see it's going back in a little bit here. And then when I put that 2 pounds on, it should finish off that shape. I want to try to bring that top in a little bit from where it is. I got a little bit of thickness difference where I joined those two pieces, so I'm just kind of working on that. I can see it mainly on the inside because I've smoothed it on the outside with my rib. Like I said, there's a little bit of wobble in that bottom just from the weakness of I pulled it a little bit more than I should have to add the 6 pounds on, or the 4 pounds on top of the 6. But like I said, I haven't done this exact weight combination in quite a while, so alright. So I think that's a good shape right there. I'm actually going to go ahead and put my foot on the bottom. Get a little bit of a roll there on the bottom to make that little foot. That's a classic Cole thing to do there at the bottom of a Rebecca picture. And then the only other thing I need to do is I'm actually going to cut this top off to make it flat because it's kind of going in right now. There we go. That way I got that flat kind of shelf there to attach the next piece to, the 2 pound piece. Alright, so now we need to measure this. And this is 7 3/8, pretty close to the other section. All right, now we'll throw the 2 pound. I need to put another mark on my bat because I cleaned it off. Mark that bat pin hole and take this off and move it to the side. Now this piece is going to be shaped more like skinny at the bottom and then come up like this because I got to match that 7 3/8. I probably would have liked to bring that in a little bit more. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure that 2 pounds is going to be enough. I might grab 2.5 just to make sure I have enough to make the neck that I want. All right, there's 2.5 instead of 2 pounds. Just to make sure I have enough to make the neck that I want on the top. That just comes from experience of looking at a piece and maybe thinking or knowing, like I said, that I may not be perfect on this, and that if I have extra, if you put too much extra, you could collapse the piece, but just a little bit extra is not going to be a problem. You can always cut it off or leave the rim a little bit thicker. It'll be okay. It'll actually make the pot look better. So, in my opinion, that is. I think one of the worst things you could do is make a pot that's 2 foot tall and have this paper thin rim on it. It just doesn't look right because you would expect a piece that's that large. Just your eye looks at it and goes, "There's just not something right about that." Just should be a little thicker on top. So that's one of the things I've tried to do on my really large pieces. Is when I get to the top, whether the whole piece is really that thick or not, try to leave a good, like maybe close to 1 inch thick rim on the top. Just makes the piece actually look like it's supposed to be that big. Like I said, I'm gonna pull this up and then flare it out. Alright, and we need 7 3/8 there. We are at almost 7 inches, so not far to go. There's 7 3/8 almost. No, there we go. 7 3/8. Alright, another thing I want to do, like I said before, is clean off the bat, clean off that any excess around the bottom on the inside and outside. The inside, I can't really get that rib in there, but I'm just going to use my screwdriver just to get that little ring of clay right there around the inside. Get the water out. Good to go. Here I'm just like before, just adding a little bit of water just to the rim, just so I can smooth that. Part of the reason for this one to do it first is because my arm, when I'm reaching in shaping down here, my arm's going to be touching this part, and if it's not smooth, that will drag on my arm and cause problems. Alright, this is the only other exception I'll make to the no water rule, is in order to shape this neck, I have to add water, but I'm only adding enough that it doesn't drip down, and right here only to the top, because I've already finished shaping the bottom. I don't have to get back down there, but I have to have enough here so that I can shape this and pull it a little bit. Might need to reposition the camera so that you get the full pot in the scene. Nope, I checked. You guys can see. Once again, just adding water just right here to the top. Just enough. It's funny, one of the things that I don't want is I don't want a drip of water to go down the side, because I've noticed that for some reason if I drip some water down the side right now, even if I clean it off, that mark shows up even in the finished piece. It's so crazy. So I want to leave that rim thick. Get that neck a little bit taller. You can probably see, if you know much of my work at all, you can probably see the influence of this shape in some of my other work, because even though I haven't made this specific pot in a long time for myself, the influence of this shape has definitely come through in a lot of what I've made. Alright, let's see. Let me sit back and look at this. And I think we're pretty good on shape there. Yeah, if I had my choice, the bottom might be a little bit smaller, but I think we're pretty good. I I think we're pretty good as I change it some more. All right. Now let's clean off that rim. I got that nice beefy rim up there. I am glad I added 2.5 pounds instead of 2 pounds. Clean off any excess water. And there we go. Let's see. I probably can go ahead and add the spout now. And then after it stiffens up, put the handle on. And I don't know if we'll include the handle in this episode or not, but we'll find that out as I see how much time has gone by. So I do that spout on that side, then I come to the back side, and just dip that in a little bit. That's where the handle's gonna go, here, and then up and down. All right guys, there we go. We got the Rebecca picture finished. Other than the handle, we'll do the handle either in another episode or maybe I'll just do some pictures of it. We'll see. But we got it done. Pot number 1 for wood firing number 2. And I'm really excited about this piece. I'm glad to have a Rebecca picture, and I don't know. I might sell this one, I might not. I'll probably have to make a couple more so that I have one that I can keep. But I'll probably mark this one special as well, like I did for the last one, because the last wood firing, the first wood firing, the first pot, I marked it with 2 number 1s. And one of my friends, David, ended up with that piece. And he didn't even know it was the special one when he bought it. But as he grabbed it and said, I found the one I want, I said, David, that one's special. It's got 2 number 1s on the bottom because it's the first pot from wood firing number 1. And somebody else standing nearby said, well, why didn't you tell me? I would have bought that one. And I said, well, I did that for a reason. I wanted the person that picked that pot to pick it because they liked that pot, and then they got the bonus that it was the first one. So anyway, good job, David. Thank you guys for being here as always, and hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something, and yeah, 2020 is off to a great start, and wood firing number 2 is coming up in March. And so yeah, thank you guys as always, and we'll see you soon. See you in the next video. Bye. There'll be a blooper reel at the end of this video. I guarantee you that. I haven't even made the pot yet, and I got a whole minute's worth. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is the time. I thought for a while. All right, here we are. It is, like I said, finally time to make. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is time to. Once I learned how to make a Rebecca picture, my light went out. All right, here we are making mistakes. All right, here we are getting ready to make. All right, here we are gonna make. All right, here we are getting ready to make pot number 1. All right, here we are getting ready to make the first pot for firing number 2, as I just said. And hey everybody, welcome back. It is time to make the first pot for All right guys, we're gonna make pot number 1 for wood firing number 2. And I thought for a while about what I was gonna make. And there is a shape that I all right, here we are making pot number 1 for wood firing number 2. I thought for quite a while. All right, here we are. here we are. Oh my gosh. Golly gee willikers.